Hey everyone, so I thought I would try something a little bit different today. I actually got this idea from Pine Cat Audio, which, if you are not subscribed to her channel, you should because she makes awesome content. But she put an idea out on Twitter with this idea that different ASM artists should make ramble videos talking about different things that they are passionate about or things that they enjoy doing. And I talked with her a little bit, and she thought that it would be a good idea for me to make a ramble video about teaching, because that is my primary career. So as I am sitting here starting to make my plans for the upcoming school year, thought I would talk a little bit about some hopefully funny, interesting, entertaining stories from my teaching career. So I am a 4th through 8th grade Spanish teacher. I have been in that position. This will be my 3rd year in that position. And the question I get most from people is, how on earth are you a middle school teacher? Because those kids are the worst. And yeah, I mean, sometimes, yeah, that's not wrong. I always said that I would never, ever teach middle school. All through college, when I was getting my certification, I said that there's no way I would ever become a middle school teacher because it's a weird age. They like to act up. They like to be special. That's a nice word I'll use for it. And for the first 2 years that I taught, I went with that. I always said that I would never teach older than 4th grade. And for the first 2 years of teaching, that's what I did. I did 1 year of 4th grade and 1 year of 3rd grade. And then after that year of 3rd grade, circumstances occurred that I had to leave that position and find a new one. And so I came across a posting for a middle school Spanish teacher and thought, hey, I can use my minor, because my minor is in Spanish, and maybe it'll be a good experience, we'll see. And I was terrified. I didn't want any part of it. But after getting into the job, I fell in love with it. Instantly fell in love with it. The kids they have their moments where they make me insane, but for the most part, I really love them. They are so fun. They crack me up, and they're so fun to teach. Something that I love the most about them is that they get sarcasm more than younger kids do. Because I'm a super sarcastic person. So I love that I can be sarcastic with them and they take it. But almost more than that, I love the fact that they throw it back at me. Because I can always appreciate, good sarcasm. There's a thing I always say to them if they come in to my room at the beginning of the period acting really crazy, or if they do something that is completely outlandish and ridiculous. I look at them and I say, I need you to go into the hall and don't come back into the room until you have found the common sense that you left out there. And I say that a lot, don't come into the room without your common sense. And one day I had a kid come in, and instead of just going right to his desk and sitting down like you would think someone should do, he just started leaping over the chairs. Just came in just jumping over every chair, basically parkouring his way to his seat, being a lunatic. And I looked at him and I said the same thing that I always say. I said, you need to go out and find your common sense. And he looked me dead in the face and went, oh, I left mine at home today. And it's what are you supposed to say to that? How do you respond to that? it cracks me up. Like, they'll do a lot of things like that. Like, I don't even know how to, I don't know how to respond. But yeah, they're really funny. I I love them most of the time. Sometimes they do have those tendencies where it drives me nuts. Like, they love to eat things that aren't food. And this is even in middle school. They love to put things in their mouth that they shouldn't. And I don't understand the thought process behind that. Like, this past school year, this had to have been back in January, February of this year. I had two students, they were 8th graders. So, they're like 13 or 14. And they were doing like independent work in class. And I look over, and all of a sudden, their mouths were both purple. Like, completely purple all the way around the lips. And my first thought is, oh my gosh, those two little you-know-whats, they went and stole, candy out of the drawer that I keep it in. Side note, if you want to bribe a child or give a child an incentive to do anything, no matter how old they are, candy works for everything. You want them to do their homework? Give them candy. You want them to behave nice? Give them candy. It works for literally everything. But anyway, so my thought was, oh, they stole candy out of the drawer. And as I'm walking over to, interrogate them about it, I noticed that one of them is holding a glue stick. Like, those jumbo Elmer's glue sticks, the purple ones? And there are several bites taken out of this glue stick. And I'm just sitting there praying that I'm looking at this wrong. Like, what on earth am I looking at right now? And I said, did you eat that glue stick? Why would you eat a glue stick? And they just looked at me and said, well, it's non-toxic. And I'm just like, so you put it in your mouth? That's what that means? It's non-toxic, so we can eat the glue. And I just looked at him and I didn't even know what to say. I just said, good luck in high school. These are 14-year-old kids. Good luck in high school if you're eating glue in class. But that's what they say about other things too. Like, I have had middle schoolers who have just straight up opened the little containers of graphite that you use for the mechanical pencils and just start chowing down on it because supposedly it's non-toxic, so they just eat the lead. I, honest to goodness, don't understand why. I've had kids, and again, this is still middle school, kids just up and lick desks just out of the blue. I didn't know what to say to that one. Licking desks, licking chairs. When I taught 3rd grade, I had one kid just straight up swallow a piece out of the Monopoly game. That's kind of why I'm hoping that with this whole mask mandate thing with us going back to school, that maybe it will be good for kids to have masks on because they won't put so many things in their mouths that they're not supposed to. There's a hopeful thought. But sometimes, yeah, they love to say weird things. Things that I don't understand where it's coming from. And they don't always like to give context. Like, I had a student start off a conversation once with, have you ever punted a baby? It's pretty fun. And I was just, how do you respond to that? How do you answer that question? And, I just had to say, I can't say that I have. I don't think I would like to. But, hey, to each their own. Or this one time when we were starting off the day, it was in homeroom. And one of my students came in and without any hello, no, nothing, no context, just ran up to me and said, "Hey, can you smell me?" And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm going to need a little bit more context than just, "Can you smell me?" Like, what? I mean, and the context was, it turned out she had sprayed some body spray on herself at her locker and was concerned that she had put on too much. Which, like, okay, once I have context, then I can help you. But if you just say, "Can you smell me?" I start to get a little concerned. You know, when a child comes to me and says, "Hey, can you help me translate this word?" Sure, what word? Slaughterhouse. Okay. What is wrong with you? Why? Like, sometimes I don't even understand what goes through their heads enough to, properly respond. It's so insane. When I still taught fourth grade, this is during my first year of teaching, I was teaching a lesson about fractions or something, some math lesson, and I ended the lesson and I said, "Does anybody have any questions?" And someone raised their hand. I said, "Yeah, what's your question?" "Well, what does decapitated mean?" And so it was in that moment that I realized that when you ask that question, "Does anyone have any questions?" Kids will take full advantage of that and ask you whatever the heck question they want, whether it's related to what you're teaching about or not. And sometimes I can't help but laugh, and sometimes it makes me crazy. And like, as a result of that stuff, you find yourself saying things that you never thought would come out of your mouth either. You never start your day off expecting to say things like, "Please don't eat your friend's paper because he got a better score than you," which I have said. Or, "Why are you aiming your scissors at me?" Like, you never expect those words to have to come out of your mouth. But yet, in a teaching context, sometimes it makes complete sense. But yeah, I chalk it up to it being that they're at an age where common sense has kind of gone out the window. Like, you're good through 5th grade and maybe part of 6th grade, but by the time you end 6th grade, your common sense just exits your brain until you get to high school for most kids. I mean, it's just a thing that happens. It's a thing that you have to accept if you're going to teach that age group of kids. Like, they also love to try to get out of doing work that I assign them to do, or they think that they're being cute by, like, drawing something in the margins of a test. I had someone turn in a quiz once that she later told me she didn't study for. No, really. And she had drawn a narwhal in the corner of the paper and wrote, "This narwhal is an offering in case I got any questions wrong." And I just want to be like, well, why didn't you just study for the test? Like, wouldn't that have been so much easier? Or sometimes kids will do huge, like, doodles on the backs of their papers instead of actually doing the work. And it's just like, but why? Why don't you just do what's assigned of you and not waste time doodling things? I had one student one time, and this kid actually studied, but it was cute what she wrote. So, like, since I teach Spanish, I have to teach them the little special punctuation for Spanish, like making sure that they put, the upside down question marks. And one of the important things they have to remember is the Nye letter, which is the N with the little squiggly line, the tilde on the top of it. And my kids had a vocab quiz once where they had to write down the Spanish words for Mr., Mrs., and Miss, which is señor, señora, and señorita. And I said, make sure you don't forget to put the Nye, because it's part of how things are spelled in Spanish. And I had a kid on the test do it correctly, and then in the margins wrote, "I remembered the squigglies." She had to make sure she told me about that. So they're just funny. And they're always trying to, make you laugh. I've realized that with teaching this grade, it's all about connections and making sure you have good connections with kids. Like, I've seen teachers come through who are teaching middle school for the first time, and they're way too strict and way too over the top with the kids, and the kids feel like they can't connect with you that way. And I think that's the main struggle, is you have to be able to relate to them on a personal level. Otherwise, they don't care. And you can tell in the way that, I always have people ask me, how do you get such a good response from the students? Well, I take the time to get to know them, to make connections with them, because that's how you build a good relationship. And they're super sweet too, like when they see me outside of school. Like, I work a retail job outside of school, and I have a lot of families come through, and the kids are always really sweet, waving to me and everything. But the other day I was working, and I had a student, and you don't usually see like young boys of the middle school age like get excited to see their teachers in public, but most of them I haven't seen since the beginning of the pandemic, because we closed in the middle of March. And this boy came running up to me in the middle of the store and was like, "I missed you so much. I can't wait to see you at school again." And he didn't care who heard, and that just made me feel so good. Made me feel like I'm doing something right. I get kids who leave me a lot of notes. I had 2 kids write me a note, and this was actually right before, I think it was Thanksgiving break or Christmas break, when things had been super chaotic, and I felt like I was like not doing my job super well that week. And they left me this really sweet note that was like, "You're the best Spanish teacher ever. Keep up the good work." And it was really sweet. Or I had a kid tell me in front of his entire class that he enjoyed my class because I made him feel good about himself, which just warmed my heart. But the best one was this girl who I started with her 2 years ago, and she has selective mutism and didn't really speak at all. I heard her say maybe 3-4 words the entire school year. And then one day I came into my room to find a Post-it note stuck to my desk that said, "I know I don't talk much, but I really love your class." And it was from her, and I will say that I ugly cried for a solid 10 minutes after that. It's those little things that make everything so worth it, even through all the crazy. I genuinely do love my job, and I really wouldn't trade it for anything. So I guess I will end this little ramble there. Let me know if there's any stories you would want to hear. I could go on about teaching for hours and hours. So if this is something you would want to hear again in the future, let me know. And I'm going to sign off for today. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Talk to you soon.